Welcome to this fresh episode of Casted to the King. My name is Joshua Mickle, and we finally have with us here today Zach VanBlaricom.
Let's clap it up.
So, first impressions. This is the first time you are on what I would call a DIY set.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the garage, but it's like more improvements we can make to it as the years go on. So
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
the sheet's a little wrinkly, but don't mind that.
Hey, I mean, again, it's DIY.
We'll steam it for next episode.
It's a DIY. It's a do-it-yourself set. So
right.
I have what I have to work with.
Enough.
So, all right. So right off the bat,
we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. We're gonna be talking Super Bowl, All-Star, Grizzlies real quick, and then the main crux of the show is gonna be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
It's really
the
just
movie.
Ant-Man. Wasp was hardly in it. We'll get to that though.
We'll talk about that movie as the main topic at the end of the show here. But first, right off the bat, Super Bowl. Chiefs win 38, Eagles lose 35. What are your first impressions on it?
Great show. I mean, great game. There's a Rihanna concert as far as I'm concerned. That the Super Bowl and the NFL as a whole never really grabbed my attention. And it proved itself even further at the Super Bowl when you got a tie game with 1 minute and 39 seconds left.
Yeah.
And that's the ending that we get for the biggest game of the entire NFL season. And that's how it ends with the, personal foul and or what was it? Was that what they called?
It was a holding call.
Yeah,
it was a holding call.
Yeah, holding and field goal from some dude who doesn't even play football, just kicks the ball. So that's my take. I think it's if think about it like this, okay? If we're watching Game 7 NBA Finals tie game with a minute 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter,
you can look right at me.
Every single dribble matters. Every single dribble matters. When you come down the court, like every second is like what is about to happen. This is about as energetic, as nerve-wracking as things can be. And I'm watching the Super Bowl just kind of chilling. And it didn't grab my attention, didn't really have any energy to me and to my brother as well. Me and Corey were watching it together. Neither of us seemed to really to be into it.
How big football fans are you generally?
I'm not that big of a football fan.
Because I know Parker's not.
Disclaimer, I'm not a big football fan. Never really have been. My biggest stretch of football fandom was Tim Tebow with the Florida Gators. Which was great football. Okay, great football. But that's the last time I was like really like into it. And I was like in middle school.
You realize that Florida Gators team, now looking back on it, has the biggest rap sheet a mile long.
They're awesome. It was a great
like
team.
Off the field, horrible rap sheet off the field.
Oh, well, maybe.
Except for Tim Tebow.
Yeah, Tebow was the leader. He was the face, so they got that going for him. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge football fan, so I guess you could just chalk it up to I like basketball more.
So my initial thoughts on it was, again, for the Eagles, they had they're coming into the season red hot with offseason moves. They trade for A.J. Brown, formerly of my Tennessee Titans, and now looking back on it, and in all honesty, it's for Titan fans, they'll debate each other. They debate all year. It's like, how could A.J. Brown do this to us? He's such a diva. And the more wins he stacked on top of each other. Yes, the contract talks broke down in a way that can be laid at his feet. But ultimately, I mean, nowadays, the NFL is becoming more like the NBA. You got to pay your superstars now, unfortunately.
No,
and with the money Amazon is going to be giving the NFL and the money YouTube is now going to be giving the NFL with Sunday Ticket starting next year. You can make up that money wherever you paid A.J. Brown this offseason.
When it comes to contracts in the NFL, there's, 50 player teams? It's a huge difference.
It's a 53-man roster.
Right, compared to max 15 of the NBA, where there's more money to go around, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it is hard to pay your guys, especially when you're somebody like the Titans. It's hard to hold the bill. I was
rooting for the Eagles. Okay. My mentality every single year going into the Super Bowl is unless there's an AFC NFC team, unless the AFC team is the Tennessee Titans, you do not root for that AFC team. I always root for the NFC team 99.9% of the time.
Fair enough.
So that was my mentality. So when A.J. Brown caught that heaver of a throw from Jalen Hurts, I was going like, I'm like, yes, and I'm like, we just lost that. We lost that in Tennessee. We need that this year so badly.
Right.
So Patrick Mahomes notches another one down his.
I feel like he needed that for his legacy.
Yeah,
he needed that one. He earned it. I feel like they took him in the locker room at halftime and shot him up with some of the best.
Do you really think he's injured?
Time.
Do you really think he's injured?
I mean, dude, he was limping around, and then he comes.
Anyone
back
can
running
limp.
full speed.
Anyone can limp and fake
I mean, it could be like little league sports, like, oh, I hurt myself because I made a mistake. You know, it could be that whole energy. But I don't know. I think they shot him up with something, and he finished the game.
Oh, I'm not denying that they shot him up with something, but to the extent that he's hurt, like our quarterback in Tennessee had 2 ankle sprains on both ankles all year. So, and the difference of play between Ryan Tannehill and Patrick Mahomes is vastly different in terms of impact to injury. Because Patrick Mahomes, there's hardly any impact at all in the 2.5 games he played with the ankle.
Take me home. He took us home. I mean, overall, it was an entertaining game.
I actually didn't mind the halftime show. I
love the halftime show.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome. I think Rihanna has an amazing
pregnant too
discography.
Pregnant too while she was doing it.
Her music catalog, she's got so many hits. I mean, there's great songs, and the production was amazing. Floating platforms. I thought the dancers were awesome. I mean, I love the show. I think it got only pretty much positive reviews besides people who would rather see Chris Stapleton do it. You know what I'm saying? It's a totally different demographic. But yeah, that's how they get people to watch the Super Bowl who don't care about the Super Bowl. They get somebody like Rihanna to do the halftime show.
I think for Apple, this was Apple's first take on the halftime show.
Pepsi.
Right? Yeah, normally it's Pepsi. For Apple's first time, they knocked it out of the park. They crushed it. Yeah.
And they've been doing these, the Kanye West listening parties and stuff, and they've been crushing those. So I was like, I knew as soon as they took on this project, it was like, I mean, you got the Super Bowl level budget and you got Rihanna, and it was, I feel like it was guaranteed to win. So I don't know. I love the show. I've been listening to Rihanna ever since.
Quick take on the NFL before we get into the NBA and the All-Star.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers, where do you think he's going to be ultimately end up?
Dude, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
The options are the Jets, the Raiders, or the Titans. Those 3 AFC teams are in the loop.
From what I know about Aaron Rodgers, he's not the most likable guy. Is this correct?
Generally, he's in this retreat into darkness that he's been on for the last 3 days. So
yeah, I mean,
he's weird. He's weird.
We'll take him. I mean, I don't necessarily claim the Titans. Memphis doesn't really claim the Titans like that. We just don't. I don't know why. It just is just.
I know why. The reason why.
It's Grizzlies. It's a hoop city. Memphis is a hoop basketball city, and nobody really claims the Titans like that. But we'll take them. If the Titans are good, I'm sure people will start liking them more.
Yeah, that's winning bias for you. That's winning. That's winning.
I'm sure
bias.
Nashville people feel the same way about the Grizzlies, even though it's Tennessee Titans. It feels like more that side of Tennessee's team.
That side of Tennessee roots for the Vols like you won't believe. So when Joshua Dobbs came in thinking they were going to be riding high with them and he was going to take us to the playoffs, I'm like, you guys are smoking something. He is not going to do what you claim he's going to do. So so it was nauseating to hear. So which fun fact, my criticism of the Titans actually got me banned on 5 separate Titan pages on YouTube. So
you bashing them?
I'm not I want not bashing the team.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, and what was factual on the field.
What happened to free speech, people? What's going on here?
And what was factual on the field? I said we have a worst left tackle in the NFL, which we do. We have the worst O-line in the NFL, which is based on numbers and facts. And we had a quarterback in Joshua Dobbs that blew it the last 2 games of the year. Yeah. On top of that, the offensive coordinator was trash heap in Tennessee. And thankfully, we fired his rear end after the season. Coming off a DUI the same year, too. So we didn't punish him after the DUI, too. Thanks. So that was...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're entitled to your opinion, so there needs to be justice here.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. So next up we have up is what was a -8 dunk contest won by a white man,
which is for the culture.
a lackluster
all-star, bigger than black and white.
Yeah. A lackluster. No. Like white men can what's that Willie Harrison movie?
White man can't jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reference to that.
Mac McClung can, and he performed.
Yes, he did.
I watched the All-Star game last night. Nothing to really say for it. I mean, what do you expect?
What defense was that?
There's just no way to get the incentive to play hard. I mean, LeBron played hard for 30 seconds and hurt his finger. So it's like that alone. And, dang, bro.
Giannis was out 15 or 2 minutes in because of his wrist. So
right. I mean, it's just like, it's all fun and games, and it's like, whatever. There's no real way. Usually at the fourth quarter, they kind of turned up a little bit, but it didn't seem like they cared at all, which is typical.
The Nuggets head coach actually called them out on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, the All-Star game is kind of a joke. Jaren Jackson Jr. getting picked last is just humiliating. Sorry.
Our pickup game that we did at Austin P at the Life Church,
we
had more defense,
more intensity than that, for sure.
What we saw on display at the All-Star game.
And I guarantee if you take all those dudes and put them in a gym like that and let them play pickup, it would get way more intense than it did in the All-Star game.
The Summer League is more intense.
I'm saying, like, the Chris Brickley Black Ops basketball, like, at his training gym is more intense than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, for some reason, the All-Star game just doesn't have the oomph that it needs. It's all entertainment, like, sure, but it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a mystery an issue that's never really had a good fix for the NBA. Because it would be great, like you throw them all on NBA 2K, you can play with all the intensity you want. But for some reason, they just don't want to. Even when the game was kind of close at the end, and they're going to the final score, they're still chucking up half court shots and giving up layup lines. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of weak to me. But the rest of the All-Star weekend, nobody cares about the 3-point contest. They just want to see who wins. Kevin Huerter, made like 5 points. That was humiliating for him. Why was Julius Randle in the contest? I don't know.
New York for
guess.
you. Yeah.
What else is there? I mean, exactly. The skills challenge, who gives a hoot about that? I watched a little bit of the G League Rising Stars game because Kenny Lofton Jr. was in there. I saw him at Costco one time. I said, "What's up, Kenny? Go Grizz." And he said, "Yes, sir." So that was interesting, I guess, a little bit. They played hard.
Corey met Marc Gasol, I believe, years ago, didn't he?
Me and him went to this putt golfing games where they did a fan meet and greet, and we took a picture with him. Him, Zebo, all the guys back then. The days.
Those were the days.
The good old days.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's some of the best Grizzlies basketball of all time, is those 2012 to like 2016. Great years. Years.
I would say 2010 to 2016. Yeah.
Well, 2012 is when they beat the Spurs.
No, 2010 was it?
For real?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It felt like 2010.
10-11 season. Yeah.
It was the same year the floods happened. Whenever that was, with the Mississippi River.
Either way, whatever it started then, when they beat the 8th seed, and then from then on, it was like they were on the map. So great times to be a Grizzlies fan then. And then there were some dark ages, some hidden seasons.
2 years,
some wilderness seasons.
2 years of being in the wilderness compared to like the Magic and the Bulls right now. They'd be like,
oh yeah. I mean, there's
we'll
no
take your
end
spot.
in sight. There's no end in sight.
We'll take your
spot.
spot.
For teams like the Knicks. I mean, they're in a better spot now, but like, the Bulls, like teams that are just forever going to be in like 10th, 11th seed. Like, bro, there's no end in sight. Like, what are we doing out here? So I appreciate that about the Grizzlies. They were run well in the fact that they sucked for 2 years to get some good guys, and now they're back on the come up. And I think they might make some noise this year. The Grizzlies, for some reason, have missed Steven Adams worse than anyone has ever missed Steven Adams. Who would have thought that guy would make the biggest difference on earth when it comes to the Grizzlies? I mean, he's a big lunk of a guy. He doesn't do anything. He has no skills. But they are
like me.
Yeah, like exactly like you. Exactly like you.
No. In all seriousness.
No, but I mean, when you think about it, he sets the best screens in the NBA. He's one of the strongest dudes. He saves multiple possessions a game with offensive rebounds. He's
good passes
he's
too.
One of their only veterans.
For a center, yeah.
He provides so much value on the court. And they've missed him pretty sorely. So when he comes back, which I think he's coming back after the All-Star break, we'll see what goes down. But yeah, I wish they would have made a little bit of a bigger move at the trade deadline. They offered up 4 first-round picks.
They offered up
Bridges.
all of their picks for Kevin Durant for
Well, for
all
Mikal
their
Bridges,
picks,
too.
and for I mean, yeah, I heard the Kevin Durant part. So
I don't know what is confirmed about Kevin Durant, but I know for a fact that they confirmed we offered up 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, and they declined.
same thing with Toronto with
the
OG.
Toronto guys, what are they doing?
OG Anunoby, yeah.
Let me pause for a second on this because they are bozos. What are they doing? They lost all. Think about it. They lost all their leverage now. Like when you get to the trade deadline and you've got all these assets of players, you can step on these teams' necks. Like you have them at your disposal. Like, oh, you need my guy. You need this guy to make your championship run. I can get whatever I want out of you. Now you miss that. You're going to wait till the offseason where teams aren't trying to make a run for the championship. It's the offseason. So they're going to get way less for any of their guys. I mean, what is that guy doing up there? What's his name? Masai Ujiri or whatever? Toronto's GM. He's
Masai.
Masai, I think is his name. Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of assets that a lot of people wanted, and apparently they were never shopping him the whole time, or he was never planning on.
I mean, they were shopping. The word was that they wanted.
They never planned on selling.
They wanted Ja, no.
Yeah.
Desmond, no. Jaren, no. Get your fingers off of them.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing with Brooklyn, but
yeah. And the Grizz said that they never were shopping Brooks either, which
shocks me.
I respect though. They're
No.
going to stick with their guys. I respect it.
No.
Dylan Brooks, yes, has had some of the worst months of his career in the past couple months.
Have you seen in the last 2 years? This is what he is.
I was at the game, the forum where they started booing him.
If you've been to the Nets game that I went to early in the year, they were booing him then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that might have been the first time he got booed.
No, that was not the first time.
That was the first time I heard people talk about him getting booed. Like it was like, oh, it wasn't just like a couple like guys.
Maybe
mad.
because
it was like
because it was on top of other games that.
And
he
here's
got
the thing:
booed
when he checked in, the coach should have known because he let Brooks check into the game by himself, and you know the announcer's going to be like, "Now checking in for your Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks." And he was just by himself. There was nobody else. And so there couldn't be anybody to like save him with a couple cheers. So he just checks in after he had just clanked all game long. And the whole crowd just lets out like a harmonious groan. Like oh, God.
Yeah.
And then people are booing. It was rough. But Dylan Brooks is a savage, man. He said, I get booed everywhere I go. So why does it matter? I'll get booed here too. Which I respect. I think that dude gets out there and works his butt off. And his shot doesn't fall. And he has a green light for whatever reason. I don't think he should. I think there needs some more accountability, but he does provide a lot on the defensive end and on the heart and soul of the team. So I like Brooks. Yes, he is very frustrating to watch.
It is very frustrating. It is an understatement to say. So
you got to think about it. He was here before everybody on the team was there.
So
that's
if anything, that's an indictment against him. He's been here longer to have a better skill set.
When he was drafted, he had the greenest of green lights. He could go out there and shoot 30
because
shots.
We were tanking, yeah.
Right. And so he's had some bad habits built from there. Maybe there's not enough accountability. Taylor Jenkins, as a coach, is not the kind of guy to crack down. He's not Popovich. He's going to let the guys be themselves, and I like that about him. It's a strength of the team, is that they're not all super disciplined by him. He's just a basketball strategist. That's why they need veterans, and that's why they need some more accountability, especially with the Brooks piece. So
what do you think about the Luke Kennard trade then?
I think it was.
After we had Danny Green for a grand total of how many minutes on the court?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they gave up basically nothing for him. I think it was a good move. He's the best spot-up shooter in the world right now. So, like, you can't – I mean, yes, he has a very lacking on the defensive end, on the athletic end. He actually can do a little bit of playmaking. Not quite like I feel like he's like a little bit less than like a J.J. Redick as far as his playmaking and ability on that side. But he's the kind of guy that's going to develop his game. So, I think it was a great move. It seemed like the only move they really had because, of the way the trade market was looking.
It just seemed like, who's our third team? Who wants Luke Kennard? Memphis was like,
right.
We'll take him.
Right, but think about it. You got to go back to like we gave up Melton for Green and a couple picks, and now turned into
Lofton. One was one of them, right?
No,
I want to say he was one of them.
I think it turned into
the Tennessee point guard.
Yeah,
and no, he was a second round pick.
I can't remember who the pick turned into, but regardless, you could look at it like this: we traded Melton for Kennard in a prospect. So it is what it is. I think having him. I mean, if you've watched the past couple games, even though he hasn't taken many shots and he's really just like go to the corner and spot up right now, those guys do not leave him. I mean, they don't even give him an inch of space. They know about him. He's scouted for. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll face guard Bane, but not quite to the level that they're guarding Kennard. I mean, if that dude touches the ball and has an inch of space, he's greening it. I mean, it's cash. You know what I'm saying? He's automatic.
I trust Luke Kennard shooting than I do Dylan Brooks. I will say.
I mean, duh. Yeah. No. Who on earth wouldn't say that? I mean, the dude is
Taylor Jenkins apparently.
Well, yeah, he's not gonna. The problem with Kennard is that he can't create anything. Dylan Brooks can create shots. He just doesn't make them.
He needs to take the Danny Green approach or the Tony Allen.
Tony Allen
He's
approach. Not quite Tony
you
Allen.
You
level.
can't make your shots.
Tony Allen
play defense.
Think about some of the bonehead stuff Tony Allen would do on the
not
offensive
as bonehead as Brooks.
I don't know. Brooks he actually can get hot and really and give you
the last
and
game
fill it up
against
sometimes.
The last game against the Warriors in the playoffs was the moment he scored like 35 or some odd points in that last killer game against the Warriors. I'm like, okay, good. You just increase your trade value. Bye.
Right.
See ya.
I mean, there's many times where I'm like, Brooks is on, man. Like, this is looking good. And then he comes back and it's like he's still in the same slump. And he never lets it. I mean,
he doesn't get hot at the right time. How about that?
Yeah, but it seems like he's never really like got it to where he can just be consistent. You know, it's too up and down, up and down. The only thing that he brings that's consistent, and the reason he's still on the team and on the roster, in my opinion, is that he's defensively he's going to guard the best guy every night. And you need somebody like that. And you kind of do need a little bit of a villain. Like, Ja kind of wants to be this villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's kind of giving off
He has taken the grit and grind persona of what was the Grizzlies and taken it to a whole nother level, it seems.
Well, you talking about Dylan or Ja?
Ja. Like, the moment he arrived in town.
Yeah, no, I mean, the people love him, but he's got to get a grip on some of his stuff, man. He got to get his act together. He's kind of fake tough, a lot of people say. Brooks is about.
How about he
dunk
on you and then you rethink that statement?
Yeah, he's explosive and awesome, but like I'm talking about his persona. Like, he gives off like this I'm this hard dude. I've come from nothing, and I've which is cool, but like
Murray State's kind of close to nothing.
I'm talking about his like hood. Like, he grew up in the
yeah. Him being hood is like Shannon.
I mean, he tweeted, "It's free to see how
Shannon
these hollows
Sharp.
feel," which means I will kill you. It's basically what he's saying. I'll shoot you. That's what that means translated. And it's like, bro, like, you can't be doing that. You just secured a $200 million Nike contract or whatever it is, probably more than that. It's like, you don't need to just chill. Just go hang out. You ain't got nothing. Anyways, Ja's got to pull it together. Let Dylan Brooks be the villain. Ja needs to be a likable guy that all the young people can look up to, not the villain of the NBA.
The one criticism I have of the Grizzlies is that, are you going to sign Dylan Brooks in the offseason? If the answer is no, you trade him now, get some assets for him, or get someone back with a longer-term contract, or else Brooks is going to walk free because that money's going to go towards Bane before it goes towards Brooks. Like, thinking about next year and the years after.
I haven't thought a lot about the offseason. I don't have any takes on that necessarily. But
we're not winning the championship this year. So
yeah, I mean, they might make a run. You never know. The whole thing with championships and the finals run, it's like you got to get pretty lucky sometimes. Like, you got your powerhouses like the Celtics and the Bucks, but like all it takes is one game and Jason Tatum, turns his ankle and they're done. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get lucky sometimes. And the Grizzlies are solid enough and they have decent enough experience to where they could get lucky and make a run. Obviously, you're not going to build your championship run off of luck and hoping for the best. But, I think that Brooks is too valued by the front office and by the team that I don't think they're just going to let him walk. I think they'll give him something.
It had to be the same deal he signed 4 years ago. 4 years, $40 million.
I can see that. That's a good deal for him, I think.
Yeah, that's a good deal, but I don't think that's what he's not going to take that. Yeah, no. Exactly. If not, bye. See ya. Go sign in Orlando or Chicago with Zach LaVine.
I think he has value. I think a team would take him. Although his persona, where he's hitting dudes in the nuts and being
that's
why
I say Tony Allen doesn't go that far. He's never done that.
Tony Allen was crazy though. I don't know,
but he didn't.
He wasn't quite the. Yeah, I mean, hitting somebody in the nuts is pretty low. Like, that's like
hitting nuts and tripping people. Yeah.
Well, I understand that, doing a little trip, but like hitting somebody in the nuts feels like it's the lowest stoop you could go. But anyways, yeah.
All right. So with that, one final question for you about the Grizzlies before we move on to Ant-Man.
Okay.
Where do you see us ultimately ending up? I say our potential is like our season, like
Oh,
like the whole year.
Sure.
I see our season second round and we're out.
Let's look at the standings real quick and where they're
Right
at.
now we're number 2 still.
Okay.
Last
The
I
problem with the West right now is all the shakeups we just had, and you don't want to catch the Lakers as a matchup first round. You don't want to catch.
I do. I'll gladly take that in the matchup.
I mean, you don't want anybody. That's
I don't think the Lakers are not even Lakers are 13th place, dude.
Right, but they just made a couple moves to where they
that
might.
don't mean anything.
You don't want to catch the Mavericks first round.
Oh no, that's
You don't wanna
that's
catch-
that's why I said to Donovan. And he called me crazy.
Well, now
is
was
saying
that before or after Kyrie?
This was before Kyrie.
Oh yeah, well,
this was
that
right on the
might-
heels
I would
of.
take them before Kyrie,
This-
but they do kill us though.
This was before. This was on the heels of Luka's 60 some odd like triple double game that he had.
The Mavericks kill us. I don't know why, but they've always killed us.
That was my hot take. That was my hot take with him is that if we run into the Mavericks second round, they're killing us.
I mean, it would be a good.
I mean,
series.
not kill us
Yeah,
like sweep
they would
us,
give
but
us a run for the money.
they're gonna
for sure.
they're gonna beat us in the 7-game series. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams. The Clippers, I don't feel confident in.
I
The
feel
Kings,
confident.
I don't feel confident.
I feel
in.
confident in the Clippers and the Kings.
Dude. I mean,
Yeah.
we've barely seen Paul George and Kawhi play together.
That's the thing, yeah.
So it's like
What confidence do you have
It's like
in
a
them
2K
playing
team.
together?
It's like you can't just put two guys together and hope that they'll work. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to play together, and you got to think about continuity with some of this stuff.
They signed Russell Westbrook, so
That's also true. Like, what are they doing?
So
And they
so
gave up
yeah.
Kennard right over to us.
So yeah, I mean that's one reason I give us over the edge over the Clippers is because before they didn't have a point
I wanna
guard.
see
Now they
surprise
have a
this
point guard that
time.
will commit turnovers and miss shots.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel confident John Morant going to school on whoever's playing at the one
The
spot.
bottom line with the NBA right now is that no matter where you shake up in the West, you've got two powerhouses in the East that you got to get through.
Boston and Milwaukee.
And Boston and Milwaukee. So like
Kevin
That's-
Love,
that's why
Kevin
Josh
Love
said-
signed with Miami Heat yesterday or today. So
Yeah.
that may be
he's kind of a dinosaur at this point, though. Let's be honest.
That's
If
that's
you're
I mean that's a
getting your
good that's,
jersey retired. You might as well just go ahead and you're not going to provide a lot of value. Let's be honest. But he is a great shooter, though,
yeah he is
and a veteran,
he's
and
gonna,
a champion.
he's going to provide good depth for the
The Heat is a great organization.
yeah.
So maybe he'll make some noise over there. But yeah, I think like Josh said, he's fine in the West. He's worried about the Celtics.
I wish he didn't.
I mean,
say
ever
that.
since he said that,
I wish he
it's
didn't
been-
say
the
that.
Shannon Sharp thing was also the beginning.
That
of
was
a bad
ridiculous.
season.
That was
a dark
that was
cloud
very
just
ridiculous.
moved over the Grizzlies when that whole situation happened. So hopefully we can come out of the All-Star game. The skies will be clear, and Steven Adams will be back, our savior, our Aquaman.
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw during the height of Shannon Sharpness that happened to us. That there's a previous clip online talking about LeBron kicking out a Atlanta fan for yelling stuff on the court and saying, like, you have a responsibility as a courtside seat holder
Yeah.
with all those $1,000 to conduct
Right.
yourself in a well-mannered
But you don't.
thing. And then what does he do against the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
So everyone on Twitter and socials is like, hi.
I mean, it's
That's
like
what and then he had to force an apology
Yeah.
on FS1.
Put
So
it like this. and
He
this
couldn't
is-
handle his own smoke.
This is Pastor John's take, and so I'm stealing his take.
Okay.
Is that
You're a son-in-law, so
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, he said that Shannon Sharp's like 55 at this point. Dylan Brooks is a 24-year-old kid. Why are you over here talking about come say it to my face? Like, bro, that's like if he was to come in here and I said something to him, he'd be like, come say it to my face. Like, bro, you're a grown man. You're really gonna let this 24-year-old push your buttons in front of the whole world? Humiliating for him, in my opinion.
With the $2,000 blanket.
Embarrassing for all
He was
parties
wearing
involved, but for sure him, I think, was the worst of the worst. Dylan Brooks is, he's going to say whatever he wants to say. He's an NBA player. And I don't think he wanted any smoke with Shannon Sharp. I think Dylan Brooks might take him. He's got the length.
Oh no, there's an angle where Steven Adams was in the shot.
Yeah. I mean, once Steven Adams gets up, you want to go ahead and pipe down. Pipe down.
All right. So with that out of the way, bit gist of the show here.
Yep.
Me, Zach, and Corey, who is not here today, but hopefully will be
He's
here
no
next
longer
time.
with us.
Man, that just went dark. So if you're watching this, Corey, he wants you dead,
That's
apparently.
what it sounded like when you said that. He's not with us.
And then I was going to say, we'll hopefully have him on for a future episode.
Yeah.
So
maybe we can have him on for like a MCU predictions or something like that.
that's
Do you want to get into predictions today, or just
why not?
Just
Yeah,
the
why
movie?
not? Yeah, that'll
Okay,
be
we
like
can do a little bit of that.
towards the end
Sure,
because
sure.
the post credits.
I don't have a lot of predictions.
Because
I'm
the
not a big
post
prediction guy.
because the post credit scenes have many predictions you can go off of. So, for sure. So before we get into spoilers, Ant-Man 3, first film of Phase 5 coming into this weekend, and it has actually outgrossed both the first and second Ant-Man at the box office, over $100 million. So compare that to Black Panther or Spider-Man or Doctor Strange or the Batman. It's not well, but it's Ant-Man. It's not a mainstream.
Facts.
It's not a mainstream character per se. It's not your Superman. It's not your Iron Man or Captain America out there. So Spider-Man, the fact that it got better and better and better as each new film,
I think it's a W for Ant-Man for sure. Yeah.
So going into Ant-Man 3, Phase 5 opening up, and now we have seen Ant-Man 3. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts coming out of the theater? We'll start with the positives first. What other positives you took away from the movie?
So no spoilers yet, right? Okay. I enjoyed the movie. I've seen a lot of negative reviews for it, and I think a lot of the negative reviews are valid because there's a lot of things a lot of holes you could poke in this movie, and a lot of things you could say that have been repetitive or confusing or whatever. I personally enjoyed watching it, which I think that's the bottom line when it comes to movies, especially Marvel. You're not necessarily looking for like the greatest filmmaking experience and storytelling. You're looking for a fun superhero movie. So I enjoyed it. I think Kang and Jonathan Majors is a huge bright spot of the movie. There's a couple things about him that maybe we can get into later that I didn't necessarily like, or at least the way they portrayed him. But I think him as an actor and playing this like next big bad of the whole. I mean, he's the next Thanos of the whole phase, right? So I think he's going to be awesome. I'm excited for him. I liked him at the end of Loki. You know, that whole scene at the end of Loki was awesome. I thought that was one of the coolest things that a villain has done. And him as an actor is great choice, great casting. I think he's going to be cool, and he was cool in the movie. Big bright spot. What else? Positives. I enjoyed watching it. I thought Kang was awesome. I think I'm trying to think of more positives.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
More positives here. I liked, this movie. This isn't a spoiler, but it felt a lot like a Star Wars sort of space adventure to me. Which is cool. I like that. I think having a bunch of wacky characters and monsters and creatures and quantum realmness felt a little bit like Star Wars. And then this is also a negative, so I'll get to that. Maybe I can just transition to my negatives now. or maybe you do your positives.
I'll do my positives first, and then I'll quickly hand off to you for the negatives.
All right.
Because there are plenty of negatives to get into this film. Yeah. So positives, as you noted, Jonathan Majors coming off of definitely. Loki with He Who Remains, the Kang variant of the OG timeline. Mm-hmm. Now we get Kang multiverse version variant of many, which we'll get into spoilers of that. Mm-hmm. Great spot, and this was a villain I was hoping, and I don't know much. I didn't know much about Kang from the comics, but I knew him a lot from like the Avengers cartoons I saw growing up in the early 2000s with Avengers Assembled. Mm-hmm. No, Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers. Avengers Assembled is the later show. But nice neck crack, by the way.
Thank you.
All right.
Hope the mic picked that up.
But going off of what I knew from Kang from that and what we got in the film, I was so satisfied. Especially with the gruesomeness, like you don't mess around with him kind of mentality that he did with MODOK, and then with
spoiler,
and then with Ant-Man.
He's in the trailer.
He's in the trailer. Jeez.
Don't tell him who it is though.
Yeah.
I guess that's in the trailer too. Actually,
I mean that's in IMDb before that even came out.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we won't talk about it anyways.
Yeah. So just that one moment in the movie where it's in the trailers, Ant-Man and Cassie are in their cells, and Kang's like, "Hey, I need you to do this for me" and whatnot, and then the the not so throwdown that happened like in that moment using force-like powers.
That's what I'm saying. Even that part was given Star Wars. I mean, he was Darth Vader in that moment.
That was more gruesome than Darth Vader
out
from
here
Obi-Wan.
Force choking people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is
That's what
giving
I love.
huge Star Wars vibes.
I mean, again, like based off
And
that cartoon I watched, that's exactly what he does.
Even the prison they were in was given Death Star. It was
maybe?
Death Star vibes, big time, or Star Wars spaceship vibes. Mos Eisley Cantina, that whole bar scene, that is Star Wars as anything. All these creatures sitting around.
The creature with the 2 yellow eyes screamed Jarwar, like like Jawas from Tatooine.
Yeah. There was so much Star Wars. I think that was on purpose. I don't think they were trying to like make their own thing, but
clearly,
yeah, very Star Wars inspired.
So, Kang was definitely a big positive for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to see what happens going forward with Kang.
Yep.
The other positive I actually had was I thought I wasn't gonna like her, was the actress that portrayed Cassie. This is not the same actress
That's
from
a positive for you?
Yeah. Okay. Her portrayal. I was worried that this is not the same actress that we got in Endgame.
Yeah.
So how is that going to carry over?
Right.
Which, if you're,
to be honest, bro, I don't think anybody cared or noticed.
if you are a Marvel savant, you will know that this is not the first time they've recasted. They did it with War Machine. They did it with Hulk. They did it with. They're now doing it with Everett Ross with Harrison Ford. Yep. They should have done it with T'Challa. They did not. That's the one they did not do it with.
But
and
I saw Mark
and
Mark's podcast. I disagree with that take. We don't have to get into it though.
We just might at the end of this, man. We just might with the predictions.
Yeah, sure.
So I thought she did great. I thought she did really well compared to what I thought.
That's
compared to what I thought.
negatives.
I had very low expectations.
Okay.
I had low expectations for her because I didn't think I was going to like her. I honestly didn't think so. But she was also in the Detective Pikachu. I actually liked her in Detective Pikachu.
Never seen that.
So that's a really good movie.
Really?
And I'm not a big Pokemon fan. And that's
Ryan
a good
Reynolds
movie.
as Pikachu was throwing me off, so I need to try it.
That's a good movie. Ryan Reynolds definitely delivered in that movie.
I love Pokemon.
Back to Ant-Man. That's how little positives there are in this movie, apparently.
I thought your last positive is one of my negatives, actually.
So another, one more positive I would have is... Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go ahead to the negatives. Let's kick it off with you then.
Okay. So
negatives.
This whole Star Wars resemblance. You got Kang feeling like Darth Vader, in the movie. A lot of the environments they were in, like the whole like bar scene. In the movie, there's like this bar scene where they kind of have like a little meetup and they're talking. It's in the quantum realm, which, by the way, where are they? That's one thing about Star Wars is that Mos Eisley, Naboo,
what planet they're on. Yeah.
Famous places, and at least you know a little bit of context. The quantum realm has zero context. We didn't even know there was people down there until this movie. Like literally, where are they? Who is anyone that's around them? You could literally vaporize everybody in that bar, and no one would care. We don't know any.
It's just like a little small
right. No one would know they exist.
Pebble, yeah.
No one cares. No one in there. Like we don't have any connection to them. What's the actor's name of the what's the white guy that pulled up?
The telepath?
No, the old white guy that showed up.
Oh, Bill Murray.
Why is everybody freaking out about them being humans? But he's literally a human. Kang's a human. Like why is humans weird? Like do they smell different or something? I don't. The whole quantum realm thing makes no sense to me. And it's like it had zero stakes. You could blast the entire quantum realm to nothing, and no one would care. It wouldn't make a difference. And then the whole Cassie thing with her performance and really her whole like spiel was like she just wants to help, and it's like you didn't even know these people existed until just now. Now you want to do a revolution with them, and she's just like I just want to help, and she's learning how to use the Ant-Man costume, and it's like
I can buy that.
Yeah, so the Star Wars resemblance to me, it feels like they tried to do that, and I like some of the wacky characters, like the little red guy and the dude with the like light tube on his face. He was cool.
He was awesome.
The red guy was pretty funny too. He with the whole holes joke, that was pretty funny. I have holes. Who are those people? Where do they come from? How do they get down there? How does anything work down there? We have zero context. And I feel like that might be on purpose with the movie makers. I mean, it's Quantumania. You don't really know what's happening. It's craziness, whatever. But it didn't make a lot of sense to me. That part. maybe you can throw a negative, and I'll come back.
All right, so negative I will have right off the bat, and I think all of us will agree that generally like the movie. It's not like when someone asks me, Josh, was this movie bad? I equate bad to Batman and Robin, the recent Morbius movie.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think it was bad.
Like movies like that where the script is so god awful.
Yeah.
Like you'll watch it once and not watch it. If you do watch it again, it's on your local TV station that you're just scrolling through the channels trying to find something. Yep. So Ant-Man 3 was not a bad movie by those metrics.
No, I don't even think it's one of the. I don't think it's in the bottom 5 of Marvel movies. Period.
It's not. Would I watch this over Thor: The Dark World? I would actually pick. I would actually.
It's more fun than that.
Thor: The Dark World more fun.
Thor: The Dark World is a grind to get through.
But Thor 2 had a better story.
It's way harder to watch.
The negative I was coming away with.
Would you watch it over Eternals?
I've watched Eternals actually 3 times. Like now,
Eternals is trash. You liked Eternals?
I did not like it initially coming out of theaters. I actually did not. I thought the movie was way too long. I still think the movie's way too long. I thought you could have cut out 30 minutes of the movie.
I have a ranking of all Marvel movies.
Oh my
goodness. I need to add Ant-Man.
That's a fan over there. That's a fan right there.
There's 30 movies, at least in my
30 plus movies.
My list right now. I did this over the summer, so.
So why you look at that?
I'm just saying.
I want to highlight my negative.
Okay,
it's the script.
Yeah.
The script was one of the jarring parts of this movie that I could not wrap my head around with some of the dialogue. Was the reasons you don't like Cassie. I agree with that, but I don't equate that to the actress herself. I equate that to a bad script. Yeah. So that's why I say good on her for what she had to deal with versus, she gave a bad performance plus a bad script. Right. So that was my positive with the Cassie Lane actress.
Why was Wasp in this movie?
Why?
Why was it called
her name's on the title?
Why was it called Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Because her name's on the title.
She was the most insignificant character. I mean, up until the very end.
She is in the Marvel lore, like
insignificant
in the comics and also in the cartoons.
I mean, she's supposed to be better than Ant-Man. Like, remember when we meet her? She's like been using this, like she's cold.
Yeah,
and she did basically little to nothing in this entire movie. Had barely any lines too. It's like she just was in the background.
Well, at least they didn't market her as such in the marketing, or it's just like
Michelle Pfeiffer.
It's like you've shown us all of her lines.
Right. Yeah, literally. No. Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas had more. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer had more parts than anybody besides Ant-Man and Kang.
Yeah, I mean, in this particular movie, you know why? Because
she's
the connection she
vibes.
has. Yeah,
sure.
So another negative I had was, on top of your Star Wars point. This was a CGI fest.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I'm not
to be expected.
I am not one to complain about the CGI because most of Marvel CGI is really good,
top of the line.
But this felt like it was like I could if you know like the behind the scenes of how the Mandalorian shot, like with volume stages now. I felt like that the whole movie when they were in the quantum realm, everything was on volume stage.
Yeah, I can see that, and it also I think that plays a part in the acting because it's like. Are all these characters like come in on separate, like are all these actors coming in on separate days and filming just like on a green screen talking to nobody? Is that part of the reason why we weren't really compelled by some of their acting? Like it was very, very heavy on the CGI and green screen or whatever volume stage.
I want to know what Jonathan Major's day was when he was there for that post-credits scene.
I don't know.
Filming many shots. Or
how is he
going to
keep up with all these voices and characters? I mean, I'm excited to see what he does, but I don't know. He's got to have a extensive Excel sheet or notebook or something.
So those were one more negative I will have, but I expected this to be a negative is that MODOK. I'm not a big fan of the character. I never liked him.
Comics or
comics and in general, like he's stupid.
Right, he's weird.
He's stupid. Like
so they kind of made him a joke, which I think was smart.
I mean, again, it's more MCU like way to do that, but. The recent Avengers game that came out with a storyline with Miss Marvel and MODOK is the main antagonist in the movie. Like the build up to said antagonist character becoming MODOK had more story, more gravitas to the character that you cared about him. You knew where he was coming from versus, oh, it's so and so from another movie,
Right.
and we didn't really care much about him in the first movie.
Right.
So with that, we'll go straight into spoilers. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! If you are watching this, we are going to talk in depth now about what's in the movie, details, and what's to come with those post-credit scenes. So I will kick this off with the spoilers.
Sure.
Darren, Mr. Yellow Jacket from the first movie is
Pretty sure that's in the trailers. Too.
Is MODOK. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a split second, you see his face.
Yeah.
But in the trailers, you've just seen like his armored face.
Yeah.
But
his character's kind of a big gag on the whole show.
it is
the whole
big
movie.
it is a big gag. But
Which I think is fun.
which I loved
Yeah.
when Kang just like
Shoved
did
him
his
to the
little
side, yeah.
force self is like, do not talk. And
It's like he's sick of him, kind of like
Exactly.
kind of like us.
like he was speaking for me, like for me and for everyone else that didn't like MODOK. It's like,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I mean, the whole scene where his little shiny booty is out was pretty funny to me. I thought that was that gave me a little chuckle. But I mean, the CGI was it seemed like it was purposely bad. Up until the only time it actually looked good was when he was bloody, and I think part of the texture of his face, where it looked pretty good. But yeah, I mean, his character kind of sucked. But
It did, yeah.
it would have been funny if they let him get out of the quantum realm. That's what they should have done, just to sort of see him in the real world. Somehow he escapes. That would have been interesting. That would have made him interesting. Because imagine him, like somebody walking down the street and you see him, like just a random civilian. Oh my God.
Should civilians now these days? I mean, I didn't buy into the notion of like someone telling me how many more heroes can the MCU like citizen like handle on Earth. Like, oh look, there's another creepo running down the street.
Yeah.
Oh look, there's him.
He's shocking for even people in the movie, like Ant-Man, who's seen it all at this point. It was shocking for him.
You remember like those old Nickelodeon commercials where you had like this Slimo character like morph into something so creepy and they're just like, oh
yeah.
That was like their reaction in the movie. It's like,
which I would have the same reaction, especially if it's somebody you know. Which I mean, I thought it was fine. It's a little callback to the first Ant-Man movie. I kind of liked it, honestly. I thought it was a nice little touch to give a nod towards the first movie, to give a nod towards the comic book character that a lot of people know. And just to have a little bit of like a side kind of comic relief character.
Yeah.
The movie wasn't as funny as I hoped it would be, to be honest.
There were some funny parts.
There were some funny parts. Like the funniest
but
part
it wasn't
to me,
an overall Ant-Man's
Right.
spirit movie like
Right.
the last two were.
The funniest part was Baskin Robbins guy in the probability hole or whatever they called that. That was hilarious to me. The whole probability hole where he starts spreading and they're all like, what the hell? What
Multiplying
the hell?
on top of each other.
It's hilarious.
And then just randomly, it's like, hey, I'm this Baskin Robbins guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
that was
who are
great.
you?
That was great.
Like, why are you dressed like that
Yeah.
compared to the rest of us?
Yeah. I guess we have to assume Kang is in one of those right now, and he's going to get out. The problem with the way that they set up Kang, because there's a whole post-credit scene where there's a whole stadium of Kangs, and there's the three main
The Council
ones.
of Kangs,
Yeah,
yes.
the Council of Kangs, and the three main ones. The Egyptian guy, Ramatut, what's the other one? Morbius or Morpheus? What is it? Not Morbius.
Oh,
what's his
Lord.
name?
I honestly don't know.
The main one.
I don't know.
Dude, what is his name? I just saw it on like a tweet or something. And then the other one that's more of like a robot guy. Those are like the three main ones, I guess. And I also had this theory, like there was probably fourth one who was the Kang in the movie that was exiled. And that's probably the pillar that we see broken in the He Who Remains Citadel. You know what I'm talking about?
Pillar in the...
Remember that? Where they had like one of the pillars
in the Loki show?
Yeah. It was like cracked over and bricks everywhere. Remember? Anyways, okay, that's side.
Well, you keep talking.
Okay.
I'll actually look it up in real time.
So look up the Citadel
that
he was in the broken one or whatever. You're gonna go to find the scene.
Yes,
Jeez, all right.
Because you got a lot. You have a lot on your mind. So this won't take long. So.
Sure. You have a passcode to get to your Disney Plus.
I have the radar
trying to
version.
protect, man?
I have the radar version on here, man.
I'm trying to protect.
I have Deadpool and Logan movies on here. Yeah.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah, the problem with Kang is that are they going to make this like a new Kang every time? Like every time the Avengers fight them or whoever fights them, it's a new Kang that doesn't remember them but remembers of them from fighting them in past times or whatever. So it's like if that's the case, then we're never really going to have a truly compelling villain because there's endless amounts of him and they're all going to be different. Like either Marvel needs to combine them all into one somehow or they need to keep the same guy threaded throughout. You know what I'm saying? Because like think about Endgame with Thanos. You have the Thanos that got his head chopped off. That was like the original Thanos that we've had forever. And then you have the Thanos from 2014 that they brought in. He didn't even know the Avengers. And so it's like, here's just this guy who's just here. You know what I'm saying? Like Wanda was like, you took everything from me. He's like, I don't even know who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's part of his, that was bad. I didn't like that because he had nothing to do with this fight. And so if that's going to be the case, I'm a little worried about Kang as a villain.
Oh, this is what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
That's who I assume is the other, is the Kang we watched in Ant-Man Wasp.
All right.
Yeah. So the first post credit, you get the 3 main Kangs, and then you have the 4th who was exiled. He was the one that had the broken pillar in the Citadel at the end of time, whatever they called it. That's my theory, and so that's why I hope that he's going to be threaded throughout, and it's not going to be a different Kang the whole time. Each time they fight him, it's a new Kang, and it's a new Kang who doesn't remember they are, but knows of them. What, like, we gonna do that 100 times? You know what I'm saying? Because there's 1,000 Kangs in there.
I feel like with that, I mean, and we saw a little bit from this Kang in the quantum realm. So all of these Kangs have fought the Avengers of some sort, so they're gonna have that familiarity of like, who the heck are you guys? Like, they'll know who they are. It's just they don't know it's a different one.
But we did that with
until
Thanos,
it's too late.
And it was like, it wasn't as gratifying beating him because there was no history there. He was still Thanos technically, but he didn't even know. He had no dog in this fight. You know what I'm saying? As the Avengers did. Because the Avengers are going to get to know Kang pretty well as they go. But if it's a new one every time, and they kill this one, and they got to fight another one, and another one, and another one, and maybe they had some huge war scene where you have all these variants of Avengers and all these variants of Kang, and it's like basically all the Kangs turn into cannon fodder. Like they shoot some lasers and they punch, but that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just seems a little bit complicated to me, and I'm curious to see what they do. But I thought the same thing about Thanos before we got to Infinity War. Like, this is a little bit fishy. How are they going to pull this together? And they pulled it together amazingly. Granted, they don't have the Russo brothers on their side this time.
Well, for King Dynasty, they got the fellow
Shang-Chi
that directed Shang-Chi. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have confidence in.
I did like Shang-Chi.
What I don't have confidence in, the writer of the movie wrote this movie, in Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
So Michael Weiss. Yeah. He's most known for writing Rick and Morty.
Yep. Which I've never watched, never got into.
Neither have I. It's one of those cartoon shows where I'm like, I don't care.
There's a dedicated fan base, but I'm not one of them, so I don't know.
They're in hot water now with one there with a voice actor. So
interesting.
That's now out. So, so in terms of other things I other things I liked about the movie.
Okay.
We missed Luis. We missed Luis so badly.
Oh yeah.
The fellow, the comic relief.
Yeah, what's his actor's name?
I forget the actor's name. No,
I forget too as well. But yeah, I think having him in the Quantum Realm would have been awesome.
Him and the Russian fellow. Yeah, his crew, his whole crew.
Send him off.
We missed them so much in this movie.
Bring him into the Quantum Realm. Send him off to some quantum village.
Hey, Scotty, where'd you go?
Yeah, and let him come back riding something like he conquered the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be a perfect little scene. Same with Jimmy Woo. We need him in there.
He was there for like a split second. Again, it was
same
a cameo,
thing. Send him off to some like quantum side quest, and he wows them with little magic tricks, and let him come back, and he's like riding a stingray creature. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be awesome, and he's part of the fight. You know, one little small bright spot is Michael Douglas's character. Hank, is it Henry or Hank or Hank Pym?
It's Hank.
I like that he's like this old guy who just likes ants now. Like he's not really into the whole Ant-Man thing. He just likes ants. he's big into ants, and that's why he kind of got into this mess. Is they were doing ants and stuff.
That was funny at the end of the movie where it's like these very, very advanced
They've lived thousands of years.
Year 4000.
He fell into a time vortex.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. One of the biggest plot holes in the entire movie to me that feels like it was just glossed over, and it's Marvel, whatever. But
and they really do have plot holes, so I'm curious what you thought.
The biggest one to me was the very end after they beat Kang, which. That's a whole issue in itself. Like they nerfed him so bad. Like this dude has killed countless Avengers, and he just got beat up by Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like what's going on here? What are we doing?
Oh, that was a negative I want to touch on. That was a negative I want to touch up on.
I'll get to my plot hole in a second.
They do not kill Scott Lang in this movie.
You thought they were going to kill him?
They were on the verge. He was on the verge of killing him.
Oh yeah,
on the verge.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I had no feeling of that was going to happen.
They played that.
They didn't
line.
market the
they
movie as
played that
big
line
enough.
in the trailer.
Which one?
Like, I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. I'm like,
which I liked.
Wait,
I liked
this
that
is
concept.
this is in
that
the
was
trailer.
interesting to me.
But they do it in the final fight. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You do not have in the Avengers Endgame trailer, I am Iron Man. Snap.
Yeah. Facts.
It's like, what happened to Iron Man?
Right.
They should have killed him for a more gratifying
or kill Wasp.
story.
Wasp was barely significant at all, anyways. I don't know. The whole fight scene and the whole fact that they were able to beat Kang with like a scrappy revolutionary quantum realm people that we just met and a bunch of ants that lived 1,000 years. Like, what are we doing here? How is this possible? This dude is literally like the best of the Kangs. They had to kick him out because he was too strong, and he just got beat up on by some ants. And
was he too strong, or did they kick him out because he was killing the other versions of Kangs, and he wanted to be the dominant lone shark?
Because he's. I feel like the whole comic book storyline is what Kang Prime. Like, there's one Kang.
Kang Dynasty, yeah.
Well, there's a Kang Prime is like the Kang.
That I don't know. I don't know.
And that's the one who's going to do Secret Wars. He's going to kick off Secret Wars.
So that's your prediction,
I guess. I mean, that's what it seems like is the main sort of understood prediction about the whole thing. Is there's going to be one big Kang Prime, and he's going to do Secret Wars and whatever. They're going to bring everybody in: Deadpool, Wolverine, all the Spider-Man, everything. But anyways, so the plot hole that I was getting to was. So you see her entire laboratory get sucked into this quantum vortex. And then after they beat Kang, they're stranded there. Again, another same plot we've always seen is they're stranded in the quantum realm. And somehow, even though all of her screens and the entire thing was unplugged, the whole laboratory was destroyed sucked in the quantum realm. She's able just to beep, 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 boop, zoop, here comes the portal. Come on back. We're happy now. Like, what is the deal with that plot right there?
I could explain. I could explain that to you as saying, if you remember what Scott said in Endgame, it's like, sorry, you were in there for 5 years. No, that's the thing. It didn't feel like 5 years. It felt like 5 hours.
Right.
So a few minutes for him may have felt like a few months.
This is true.
In the Earth world. So,
but this is true. But you see the
like that could be easily explained in that sort of way. It's not like
I guess
my plot hole that I have.
Sure, I could see that. I guess, but you literally they're like walking in and out of the quantum realm like it's a doorway at this point. Like, we couldn't even access the quantum realm. Why wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer's character, what's her name, Janet Van Dyne?
Janet, yeah.
Yeah, why wasn't she so wary about Ant-Man going into the quantum realm to get healing particles or whatever when he first was trapped? Now all of a sudden she's worried about it. It just feels
I have a theory on that.
There's some
I have a
stretches.
theory on that.
Okay, what's that?
I have a theory on that when you're finished.
Go ahead. No, I'm just curious why the quantum realm is all of a sudden we're supposed to be so familiar with it and so understanding of it, and it just feels like it's a bad plot device of like, oh, it's quantum. That's how you explain it. It's just quantum.
All right. So to explain that part with the whole their strength, which going to the movie, my prediction was either Scott Lang was going to die or he was going to be trapped in the quantum realm and he wasn't going to come out until Secret Wars.
Sure.
That was when
which would have been the lamest reveal for Secret Wars. Oh, Ant-Man's back.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. But it would make the most sense.
Sure,
Not what they did in this movie. It's like, oh no, they're trapped, and then it's like, whoop. Yeah. Let's go home. And I thought they were going to cue the creds right there. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, that's how you ended the movie.
So bad.
All right, so that's your plot hole number one. Plot hole number two for you is that you mentioned is that, and at the end of Ant-Man 2 for that post-cred scene, is they're getting PIM particles, and she wasn't scared. Right. So by the time this was coming out, we had one cohesive timeline. There was no such thing as Kang. Yeah. And then once
he remains.
Yeah, but no one knows. Right. But no one knew who he was except for the TVA.
Yeah.
Very select few.
They didn't.
Miss Minutes only probably knew about him in the TVA.
Yeah.
But during that whole time that we have spent in the MCU is that one cohesive timeline.
It wouldn't be He Who Remains because Loki was off a branch from Avengers. It wouldn't be that.
By the time Endgame came around, though. We're on Ant-Man and the Wasp on this
go
current
ahead.
timeline.
We're getting too in the weeds.
So we're in this one timeline in the MCU right now.
Yeah.
And by the time he's in for quantum particles, there's no such thing as a Kang. There's no such thing as a dynasty or a council of Kangs.
But
it's
Janet
just
would have already seen him. She would have known.
Here's where my thing kicks in. Is that the moment Loki, Sylvie kills He Who Remains, the Kang variant that held everything together, the moment he gets killed, before everything goes back to where it was before he came to power with He Who Remains, of how he calls himself, to where once that timeline fractured itself, going into many, many different areas, that's when the possibility of a Kang could exist within our existing timeline that we now see it. But back then, when He Who Remains was on it, was never a thing. Now that it is a thing, it could be like, bloop, there he was the whole time,
well, the
and we
thing
didn't know
about
it.
the quantum realm is that they say it's outside of space and time. So
yeah.
So,
I'm trying to explain this to you, but then you're like, like a revolver's like,
right,
at me.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm curious to see if it's gonna make any sense at all. Once you get into the whole time travel, alternate dimension stuff, you get into some big time weeds. And so far, I feel like they've kept it somewhat, the continuity has been there somewhat. But
it's game fractured.
It is.
It's game fractured right now. And Deadpool's probably going to destroy it by this point.
Yeah, and it's like the bottom line is I feel like they've got to get back grounded. And once you get into all this stuff, like even the Infinity War was about as spacey and chaotic as it ever has been. It was like, man, this is huge. This is big. The stakes are still high. Now it's like the door is just blown off the hinges. There's barely any stakes. There's a million versions of you out there. So if this one dies, it's like, oh, we still got this one. And it's like quantum realm, no time and space. And there's all these people nobody cares about. It just feels like the stakes and the reality of things have just been blown out of proportion. And so it's going to get It's going to be hard for fans to buy into some of the new characters and plot lines, in my opinion. So
yeah, my initial plot hole that I had an issue with initially, and then I had a reckoning of a second thought that popped in my head in the theater when I was watching, when he's explained to Janet Van Dyne in his little throne room about like the whole timelines and whatnot of it being structured. Like, I have seen it where it's all one timeline, where again, like there's millions and millions of Kangs apparently, to where they can't all be thinking different things and not think as He Who Remains probably thought. He couldn't have been the only one who thought the way the Loki variant was. Yeah. So when they brought that up, I was getting ready to fear. I'm like, so we didn't need to see Loki after all this time? Well, because you told us we were supposed to see Loki, and this leads it
you gotta assume.
into a direct effect. And then he says to Janet, it's like, yeah, I lie. So it could be one of those things where it's like, oh, there you go. Like same thing with Sylvie. It's like, or you're a liar, and then he's like, or I'm a liar.
Yeah, right.
Like, he could be just flat out lying. Like, he could just be flat out lying.
Yeah, and I think you have to assume that the Loki viewership was lower than Quantumania, and
clearly.
So they couldn't bank the whole movie on you having seen Loki. You know what I'm saying?
Bonus points if you did though.
Yeah, no, totally. You get to experience a lot. I mean, the post credit makes sense. Kang makes more sense. You know, whatever. The whole TVA timeline stuff didn't make a huge difference to the movie, but it does help if you know. And I think they knew that going into the movie. Like, we can't bank on everybody having know the context of Loki. So, and I think they're supposed to be getting away from TV shows at this point.
They announced today that they're going to do 2 Secret Invasion that's coming out.
Yep.
Pretty soon if it's not out already, and then Loki season. And then Loki season 2.
Which will be good. I'm excited about that.
It's going to be the one that will be coming out this year.
Yep. That was the second post-credit, which was interesting to me.
Very interesting.
No.
I will say that. So, I have no idea who this historic figure is. I didn't do research on it.
Victor Timely.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
It's an Easter egg for Timely Comics. That's what Marvel used to be called.
Oh, really?
Yeah. From what I know, from even just looking on Twitter and stuff, is he's just it's like 1900s inventor, and he's probably going to introduce time travel. And that's probably the one who they killed. He Who Remains and they're going back to find him before he became He Remains. That would be the guess I would take, and I've seen online as well. So, anyways, I think overall enjoyable movie, but doesn't feel like a huge kickoff like success for the next like 10 years of movies.
I would say like to expect this was going to be a Spider-Man No Way Home
No.
punch in the gut kickoff like Hail Mary caught for a touchdown kind of a movie. You're fooling yourself.
Right.
Like this is an Ant-Man movie.
Right. Going into it, I was like, this is an Ant-Man movie. I was predicting that it's going to be a silly little Ant-Man plot, but they're going to introduce Kang, and Kang from now on is going to be the thread throughout the next, however many movies leading up to Avengers. And they did that, but honestly, it had more Kang than I thought. He wasn't in the movie for the first hour. We don't really we hear him and him, him, whatever they. Like it's some gender pronouns, he, him, they, whatever.
that was another negative. Now as we're talking, like more negatives start popping up.
Yeah.
Another negative that popped up for me, buzzwords like social justice warriors buzzwords.
Like when
that would just pop up. It's like I know it's so like Hank Pym was saying to them about the inside. I know it's a socialist thing. And it's a bad buzzword to say. I'm like, Lord, don't say anything more. And he does not say anything more. Thankfully,
I don't even know what you're talking.
And then
about
they're talking. And then they're talking about with Cassie in the script. She's talking about like homeless people in San Francisco and whatnot, and how they need affordable housing, which is something that
that was a throwaway.
Which is something that Sam Wilson from the Winter Soldier, Captain America show.
That's the show that got social justice.
That like it had it was that same line that the new Captain America Sam Wilson said to the reporter at the end of the show. I'm like, we do not need this. We want God.
Yeah.
Keep politics, keep anything controversial out of your movies. We come here to escape that. Facts. We come to the theater to escape those things. We watch.
Yeah.
We watch.
Who are you talking to right now?
I'm just talking in general.
You heard it.
We talk. We talk movies. We talk sports. We watch sports to get away from these things.
Facts
in life. So
yeah, man.
So
you're right.
But predictions, where do you see it going from here? Because right now we have Kang Dynasty.
I've been talking about my predictions
assuming it's not getting delayed,
Yeah.
and Secret Wars after that. What are what do you think the lineup's going to be for?
Bro,
or predictions?
you got to assume Shang-Chi is a big part of it. You got to assume Ant-Man and the Wasp will be involved. Dude, the roster feels like it's all over the place at this point. I mean, Spider-Man will probably be in it in some form or fashion. Doctor Strange. Who else am I missing? But I mean,
Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss
She-Hulk
Marvel
is the one I'm a little bit weird about. Miss Marvel for sure.
Maybe Loki.
Loki teaming up with the Avengers. I don't know about that one.
I feel like that's a Secret Wars thing.
Yeah. Well, for Secret Wars, they're gonna blow it up. Everybody's gonna be there. That's sort of the whole idea of Secret Wars.
The question is everybody?
Oh yeah, everybody. I think everybody.
Venom, Morbius, Kraven, Madam Web,
only you
like
care about those guys.
every Marvel associated character you can think of.
I think anyone that's ever
Ghost Rider,
anyone that's ever been on screen
crew.
in MCU history will be there.
What about pre-MCU history?
I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, they've surprised me before with Spider-Man, Sony people. But anybody that's been in the MCU for sure, and then now they got Deadpool, Wolverine, X-Men, they'll all be there too probably. Anybody that's dead. I mean, Iron Man's probably gonna be there. Like it's just gonna be everybody, and I'm sure they'll have I can imagine the logistics of getting all those guys there and filming all their stuff. But it's,
get in, get out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come do your part. You punch this guy and you make a quip about how you've seen him before and you like his new hair, and then get out.
I thought Endgame was gonna be that kind of a cluster of the amount of heroes that were going to be in it, but
I thought Endgame did that whole thing well.
But they pull it off. Yeah,
I mean, Infinity War, Endgame, Part 1 and Part 2 is what I call it. I mean,
that's what it originally was called.
Yeah. I think it's some of the best it's going to be very, very hard to top that level of payoff and bigness. It will be hard.
It will for me personally. In this one sense, is that they are clearly setting up. If you've seen the post credits for Spider-Man, they're going to be introducing properly. You would think the symbiote, black costume for Spider-Man in that storyline. So, and if you look on, and if anyone out there owns the 2007 Spider-Man 3 behind the scenes tapes and whatnot or DVDs, and you can search it on YouTube. Kevin Feige, who runs Marvel, he was an executive producer at the time, and in all the behind the scenes stuff, he was talking in depth about where the symbiote came from and Spider-Man getting Secret Wars. Like, he was talking like a super fan fanatic as a producer. That never happened in that Spider-Man 3 movie. So one has to think he's going to bring that to fruition in the MCU this time.
Dude, to be honest, I don't even remember Spider-Man 3, the original. So
Sandman and Venom.
Yeah, I mean, I know the whole thing, but yeah, it's not something I'm super familiar with. I don't think it's going to play a big role. I would be surprised. I know you're
Spider-Man is like you were. I mean,
he's the guy.
You're asking who's the roster. He's the financially
guy.
and
yeah. They're never getting rid of Spider-Man.
He's the big dog.
Honestly, I'm surprised that they took him in this direction that they did. But now it kind of wiped the slate clean now, where nobody knows who he is. So it's like they can do anything they want.
Yeah,
they can do anything they want, which is smart in my opinion.
They know Spider-Man. They don't know Peter.
Yeah, facts. Right.
So,
I mean, that's how it was too until Tony Stark somehow found out who it was, and then from then it sort of became a thing. So they basically just took all that back, which still that doesn't make a lot of sense.
The question is going to be with the slate of slowing down movies. The question for me, again, this is not me being a Spider-Man fan, but they did announce that they're going to be in fast pacing a Spider-Man 4 movie. The question is this going to be coming out pre or post Kang Dynasty? If it comes out pre, it's going to be, I would think, a grounded movie. Say a Scorpion or a Kingpin being your antagonist for the movie.
Who did they tease? I feel like they teased another villain.
They've had Shocker. They had the Prowler tease with Donald Glover.
Oh yeah, Prowler. Yeah. They had a couple. Like if you looked at the silhouettes of people in the Doctor Strange movie.
Rhino, Black Widow.
Yeah, they got some some guys in there they could work off of. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a ton of villains. Spider-Man is just a cash cow. Like you can do whatever you want, and it's gonna be big money, and people are gonna come out to see it. But when it comes to before Kang Dynasty, I don't think it's got a chance to come out before that. He'll probably be in it though, and that's gonna drive the movie. You know, him being in it. So I have high hopes, but because I trust Marvel, they delivered big time on the whole Thanos Infinity War thing. Like they built it up, and they did what they said they were gonna do, and honestly exceeded expectations in my opinion. But that goes credit to Iron Man being awesome, Robert Downey Jr., Captain America being awesome, Thor Ragnarok I think played a huge part in the whole progression of it. That movie sort of turned the tide for me as as far as getting into the whole Avengers.
It had quips and then it had deep tones in the movie.
Love and Thunder. Do you like Ant-Man more than Love and Thunder?
Oh man. Oh man.
That's what I was trying to think about the other day. Which one was better? Because I think Ant-Man was better.
Thor 4 was so goofy.
Yeah. It's like they took all the funny parts about Ragnarok
and put it on steroids.
Double down.
They put it on steroids.
Yeah.
I will not watch that movie again. No. I would watch it
again.
I would watch Thor 2 before I watched Thor 4.
Yikes.
The only good things about Thor 4 was the beginning with the Guardians, the screaming ravens when he's doing the splits.
Oh, the ghosts?
No, the Raven characters that he's battling with the Guardians at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then the screaming goats. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, the movie's funny. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch. It just makes zero sense.
Again, bad script. Zeus could have been done better with Russell Crowe. Come on, you have Russell freaking Crowe, and that's how you treat Zeus like he's a ballerina princess kind of Zeus. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, we have God of War references here. We have many
L.
Zeus.
Big L of a movie.
Big L. Yeah, Big L.
I thought Gore was an awesome villain too. He did a great job, but it's just
villain.
Gore.
Yeah. Who's Gore again? I'm sorry.
The dude from Thor. Is that not his name? Gore. The dude with the black and white sword.
Oh, Christian Bale.
Yeah. He was great, and I think that's the problem with a lot of Marvel stuff is you have Marvel does really good with villains. They have great villains, but the movie's too quippy and too wacky to ever really seem like it matters. Up until the last fight scene of Ant-Man, there was really no stakes. I mean, when he got mad and rage and was going out and just vaporizing people, Kang, it was cool. But it's I don't care about him, don't care about him, don't care about him, don't care about him. Now he's over here, he stomps on Ant-Man's head. It's like, oh snap, okay, we might have something here. That's the only time where it's like, okay, now I'm interested. What's going to happen? The whole time I'm entertained, but up until then I'm like, okay, this dude might actually.
And you don't think the other Kangs are capable of doing that?
I think they are. I think that it's not going to matter as much because Kang at that point at the end of the movie he had a gripe with this guy. He somehow escaped, and somehow made it happen, and somehow was starting to win. So Kang was mad and had a beef with this guy. These other Kangs that Avengers are going to try to stop, they won't even know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They won't even have any. It's not going to make any sense to them.
I think for my predictions, it's going to be Kang all over the place with the Dynasty with number 5.
Yep.
Secret Wars, ultimately, since there's going to be multiple shows and movies coming out in between. Now you could put those movies and say in the timeline this happens before Kang Dynasty, blah 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 blah. I think it's going to happen in between, where some of the characters will be going off to whatever happens in Secret Wars, and then those that missed out on Kang Dynasty, they're going to get their solo acts.
Yeah,
what's going on during Kang Dynasty and whatnot, off-world probably. Secret Wars. In the comics, in both, like in the original iteration, the comics I know of is you have this character called the Beyonder, and so that's a Bow World.
That's who this Kang could turn into, in my opinion.
Could be, yeah. And then you have the recent one that came out a decade or so ago, the more recent Secret Wars with Dr. Doom. So my wife would love to see Dr. Doom.
I love Doom.
Yeah. So we trust Marvel is going to nail that whenever they get to it.
Doom's going to show up. They're saving him for the next one. He's going to be the next guy.
Next guy, him or Galactus.
Galactus.
Yeah, you're going to get down to it. So
my predictions with the Avengers, real quick, is I think the Kang situation. I mean, when the 3 Kangs popped up, the Pharaoh and the robot, like I feel like the theater kind of laughed. Like it was not a serious like. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the reaction was not like, oh, crap, here's this big bad. Like when Thanos, that post-credit scene of when we first saw Thanos where he puts his hand in the gauntlet, fine, I'll do it myself. That was like, holy crap, something's about to go down, At least in my opinion.
For some that was like
he's coming.
For me, we saw him in Guardians the year before. The part that reaction you probably got that from was when he first appeared at the end of the first Avengers post-credits.
Right. It's like
where he stands up and then turns his head and smiles a bit.
No, I'm talking about the one where
I know what you're talking. Yeah, it's the Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
I mean that felt like, oh snap, there's this dude who's coming and he's going to like even the Bruce Banner where he's like Thanos is coming. It was like this something is on the way that is big and bad and threatening. Kang does not have that same feel to me. In fact, it feels kind of goofy. You got this massive coliseum of Kangs that are supposed to be the most powerful dude, and they're kind of like cheering and laughing, and they got this goofy dude in a Pharaoh costume, and it's like, man, what is going on? He just got beat by Ant-Man. Doesn't seem like the best kickoff of a big bad villain to me. Thanos was no games from the start. He beats the crap out of Hulk, and he's been looming this whole time. Like he was bad to the bone, straight from the get out. From the get out. So yeah,
and that's how much of a boss he was. Is that after he got the second stone, he takes off the armor and he feels invincible without the armor.
He basically was.
So,
I think it's going to be hard to top. I think Kang is not off to a great start, but the Kang Dynasty situation, I feel like it's going to be, they're all going to consolidate. I mean, yes, they're going to fight a bunch of Kangs. They're going to figure out the multiverse situation, and then it's going to turn into Secret Wars. They somehow either consolidate all the Kangs into one, or there's one Kang that rises to the top. All of them other ones are gone. Whatever it looks like, it's going to be Kang Prime, or whatever they call them, and he's the Beyonder, whatever it is, whatever storyline they want to go with, and he kicks off Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars is going to happen. This is just a random prediction. I think Secret Wars is going to happen in the place that the TVA prune stuff. Where they that open world.
I did not think about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be kind of
that's
cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That would be so brilliant if that was the case.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because then you just prune them all to that area or whatever they do. That's how he's going to get them.
That would be
the TVA
visually. That would be incredible.
Oh yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
You have so many Easter eggs like this.
You just now put this in my mind.
Yeah,
I have not thought about this.
Yeah, I think that's not my prediction. I saw it online, but it's what I'm running with.
And again, that's how little I am online because I avoid this stuff now. So, before you said that, my original take was going to be in Avengers 5, whatever happens with these Kangs or there's like a kill switch where all of them just
that changed your view, your
and then before I get to that point is we have the lingering elephant in the room with Arsham at the end of Eternals. This big whopping freaking
nobody cares about Eternals.
Colossal
that no one ever talks about. That just is apparently
it was mentioned in She-Hulk, by the way.
What, in like a little headline or something
at
the bottom?
Exactly.
Yeah,
in a headline and TV news and whatnot. So it's there. It's not like
in a She-Hulk episode. In a She-Hulk episode, that's the
if you know how much they love the She-Hulk show, it means that much to them apparently. Either way, you have this lingering Titan that's out there known as Arsham. And he said he was going to come back for Judgment. And what I took from that is that once they announced Secret Wars, I'm like, he's going to have a hand in this one way or another. Whether it be himself or with Kang Prime potentially or amalgamation of the two. Yeah. It's not going to be Kang and then we're done with Kang and then Arsham Secret Wars. It's going to be an amalgamation of the two, in my opinion.
Amalgamation.
So,
the word of the night.
That is a great theory with
the Void.
The Void. Yeah. Yes, that's
I think
great.
Cool.
That is a great theory for Battle World.
And I think the TVA is not going away. I think the TVA is sticking
That's
around.
never going away.
Yeah, I think they're going to use that in the whole situation because they're not going to do some space fight. It's going to be, it has to have a theme. It has to have something that's more grounding.
I can imagine like the first scene in the movie of Secret Wars is like a couple of Avengers are in handcuffs and they're walking through that waiting line. Here's your line to go into the void.
Yeah.
Prepare for battle. Here's who you're facing against.
Yeah, facts. One random question, another prediction. Who do you think is going to die in the next Guardians movie?
It better not be Peter Quill. It better not be. I'm going to be so devastated. Have you seen the holiday special?
Mm-hmm. It's great.
They better not kill his sister.
Mantis. Mantis, yeah.
If either
I don't
of them,
see why they wouldn't.
I think two are going to die. I think more than one is going to die. It's James Gunn.
I think more than one character is going to die.
It's James Gunn. I shouldn't be surprised.
Guardian.
I think Drax is going to die.
Yeah,
he's prime candidate number one. He's going to die.
Think about how much makeup they got to put on him. He's sick of that role. He's out of there.
But then again, he did say in an interview saying whoever does take on this role, it won't be me after this. So maybe that's him saying it'll be recasted, but he himself is not coming back.
Right.
So he's prime candidate number one. Rocket maybe. We already seen
Rocket feels like the no duh. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like all the trailers have painted a picture that Rocket is the one who's gone, but that means that he probably won't be gone. No, they don't do that kind of stuff. They don't just like outright.
We just added with Ant-Man. I thought.
By the way,
I thought Scott Lang was going to get axed or trapped somewhere.
Killing the main character of the movie is a different story, though. They did that with the Shazam trailer. They told the entire movie's plot in one trailer. So don't gotta go see that one. All right, well, that was just random.
So to close this out, talking about Marvel a bit, but just to kind of, if we could put it into perspective, big picture is that everyone can agree outside of the big hits like say a Moon Knight, Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi. I thought it was. I thought it was really good.
You liked it, or it was a big
hit? I loved it. Okay. I loved it, and
I liked a lot of people
but I don't
think
it
was a big hit.
A lot of people did too, and and folks are upset there's not season 2 coming.
We gotta check the numbers on that because I don't know if it was a big hit. I don't think any of the Disney Plus was a big hit.
Him, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi.
Yep.
We got Guardians on the way that we assume is going to be good.
Mm-hmm. It will be. I have high hopes.
Fantastic Four, we assume is going to be good. That's not until another year or two from
Jen
now.
Halpert.
So, and then Deadpool, we know is going to be good. Well, but I say that because most of Phase 4 with those shows and or movies, it's been lackluster coming off of Endgame. So there's coming off of Endgame and then Spider-Man Far From Home as they closed off the Infinity Saga of all those films is like there's no one that can beat them right now. Now I feel like in the big picture, they're still king. They're still king.
Who, Avengers?
No, Marvel as a brand. Marvel Studios is still king.
Absolutely.
Right now. I think if DC can wrap up, can get a string of these movies and then with the new direction they got with James Gunn, who did great with Suicide Squad. We know what he's doing with Guardians is doing really well. DC, you're joking. You're laughing at me, but I think DC isn't. I'm not saying they will. They're in prime position to say,
how many times
like,
have we
hey,
been in
audience,
this position?
hey, audience, you're upset with Marvel. Here's what we got going on over here. That's a fresh take.
I would love it, but how many times have we been in the same position where it's like, oh,
They don't-
DC, here he goes, DC, and then they just fall so flat.
Here's what's different. Yeah,
it's a blank slate. I get it.
it's not only that. Since
New direction.
since yes, that too.
Yeah.
Since Discovery bought out Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, who's the CEO there, one of his first things when he purchased the company, he was asked, like, what's your main priority as a company? Like, Discovery has HGTV, Food Network, like all those sub networks that do great as their own entities, as he has seen fit there with Discovery. And what he did at Warner Brothers is saying, we have this IP that's all together. It's not licensed out to other studios like Marvel did when they started out the MCU. We have a prime IP in DC that we should
Iconic
characters, and we should divulge them into their own studio, Marvel Studios like Pixar and Lucasfilm, make them their own studio, because that was never the case beforehand. It was just Warner Brothers taking the IP and making DC movies. Now there is a DC Studios in place.
There is.
And now you have a James Gunn and Peter Safran, Safran has a proven DC track record with Aquaman and Shazam and the Suicide Squad with James Gunn. James Gunn has a proven track record both in DC and in Marvel right now. So
James Gunn, I trust.
yeah, so DC, I'm just saying, like, this is a very unique situation.
No, they're teed up.
Yeah, it's teed up. They're in a unique situation.
But are they going to whiff it? Most likely. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no way of knowing besides the past, and the past has always been pretty much bad.
I can honestly smile upon the situation with DC, saying they're not going to for those that know, with the Flash of what's going on, the Flash movie that's coming out this June is essentially the reset point for DC. Essentially what it was in the comics with Flashpoint, where everything starts over with the new 52 that they did in the comics with Flashpoint. That's essentially what they're going to do in the movies now. So I smile in my head thinking because we just had the Snyder cut with the 4-hour Justice League movie, which is better than anything in Phase 4 and 5 right now, except for Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home, and then everything else does not touch the Snyder cut of 4 hours with Justice League with quality. Even Shang-Chi, I would watch Justice League Snyder cut over Shang-Chi right now. Okay. Like, that's how great of a product that was. So going into this DC reset, they're not discarding that. It's like, oh, that's just a one-off. So no, it's part of this universe. But the story that they're telling is the story that they're telling us. And now going forward, we have this fresh slate.
Wakanda Forever?
Definitely better than Wakanda Forever. Don't.
Yikes.
Yeah. Definitely better than...
Multiverse of Madness?
Doctor
Strange?
Did you see the Snyder cut?
I actually haven't.
You need to.
I'm not devoting 4 hours of my life to that.
Those 4 hours fly by, and my wife does not like watching long movies, like longer than 2 hours. And we saw that in our theatric living room because it was an HBO Max release. So at the time, so watching that was, yes, there were some elements that could, you can chop this out, and it could be 3 hours and 40 minutes movie. But what they did in that movie, it far exceeds what anything outside Spider-Man No Way Home.
I believe you. I need to check it out.
They've done.
Next time I have 4 free hours.
The reason it's 4 hours is because they don't have. They
tell all the separate stories. Yeah.
They didn't do a Cyborg or a Flash or a combo Flash Cyborg movie. I understand. You have to introduce their backstories.
How come your mic's bigger than mine?
Mike.
No, your mic is bigger than mine.
Oh, this is an earlier version.
Okay,
that's the newer version. That's the newer version. Yeah.
All right, what are closing thoughts?
Wrap
it up. Ant-Man, enjoyable, questionable plot, questionable future. Jonathan Majors, big W.
Big W indeed.
What else? That's my summing up pretty much.
My closing thoughts are, good riddance to MODOK. I did not care about him one flipping bit. I did not care about MODOK, so I'm glad they did away with him in the movie. So good riddance to him. I don't have to see that ugly face again. Yeah, Kang. Give me more Jonathan Majors. That was like
Creed 3 is gonna be good too.
Creed 3 is gonna be really good too. Jonathan Majors.
That guy.
He's in every other movie now.
He's that guy right now. He just hosted Saturday Night Live. What else is he doing? I saw him on some YouTube videos. You know how they do those like GQ and cut videos.
He was in a recent war movie that just came out in the fall last year.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm. Right, I saw he was in it. Yeah, the dude's awesome. He's one of my favorite actors right now. But we'll see. He's got to keep up with a lot of personalities and voices with this whole Kang character.
So before we go, what's your list? A quick rundown. You had your list of movies, man. What's your favorite?
So maybe
you got your favorite movie.
I could send you a screenshot of this. You can put it on the
feed. What's your top 5? You can spit off.
This is just Marvel. All right.
Yeah.
So Infinity War is number 1.
Okay.
I think it's more complete than Endgame. And Endgame is number 3. Civil War is number 2. So it goes Infinity War, Civil War, Endgame, Ragnarok, Iron Man 1. That's my top 5. Then it goes Black Panther, Avengers, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America: Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is so slept on. That movie's awesome.
Yeah, it is. That it is
Homecoming, Far From Home. I put Black Panther: Wakanda Forever a little high. I might actually come back and move that one. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp probably fits somewhere in the 20s out of the 30s. So
yeah, I can see that.
I'll tell you what the bottom 3 is. Incredible Hulk.
That's a good movie. That's
trash.
Not bad.
Eternals, trash.
That's not bad.
Dark World, trash. Iron Man 3, trash.
Black
Widow, trash.
Yeah, that was
Captain
trash.
Marvel.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's the one
Yeah.
And Black Widow's the one turd.
It just was like bad timing. I mean, she's dead. No one cares.
It's like the Han Solo movie. It's like, you just killed off Han Solo.
But
here's the movie.
At least Star Wars universe isn't as explored. So it was cool to see a different side of a big character. Black Widow, it was just kind of dead.
All right. So we'll close off the episode there. So this is once again Joshua Mickle, and to my right, Zach VanBlaricom. Hopefully have him on a future episode talking more sports, movies, and life.
Yeah, I've never come back here.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, so much for that.
I'm just kidding.
So,
I'll be back. We'll see. Maybe Corey will come. We'll do a VanBlaricom brothers. We'll get Parker, me, and Corey.
Oh, there you go.
And we'll just dominate the show.
Hey, how about that? Hey, I won't mind that at all. The more the merrier. I got multiple mic plugs over there. So,
right,
yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So this is Joshua Mickle and Zach VanBlaricom. Sign off.